If you're involved in a relationship with a lover, a partner, or basically anyone, you can really take some lessons from this guy right here, Dr. Dain Heer, joining us. You've been on our show before, author of your book is called Being You, Changing the World. And today we're exploring the topic of conscious coupling. But to get to that, I want to get us into this by going back to unconscious coupling. That's a completely different topic.
Other subject,
Conscious uncoupling and where this came from.
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow, you know, when she got divorced, what she did is she and her husband decided to take a totally different route. And rather than the sort of Hollywood hatred divorce that are so popular nowadays, she and her husband went, let's do something different. And what they did was they actually used these elements of conscious uncoupling, which are the same elements that actually create a successful relationship, to create a successful divorce. And primarily the elements of that are, I mean, if you look at conscious uncoupling, it's like, hey, you know what, I love you, I adore you, I just realized I can't live with you anymore, and it's not working for either of us. And so they parted as friends, people who truly care about each other, without the judgment and the vitriol that is so present in most breakups.
So how can we take those lessons from that example and spin that into lessons that we can learn for relationships that we want to sustain? And this is where we get into the conscious coupling concept here, which is so cool.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, first thing you want to recognize is there's no such thing as a perfect partner. You're not perfect, neither is your partner. You know, Prince Charming and Cinderella are in fantasy and fairy tale for a reason. They don't actually exist.
So you're saying lower our standards.
That's one way to look at it. And the other side of that is just if you recognize that instead of looking for somebody who's perfect, look for somebody who's going to be a contribution to you. Look for somebody who brings more joy into your life when you're with them, where you feel nurtured, where you feel cared for. Recognize nobody's perfect, and don't expect your partner to be perfect, because what happens is today's expectation becomes tomorrow's judgment.
Give the example. It sounds like such a small thing, but your friend with the toothpaste tube.
Yeah, my friend was married for several years, and he's one of these people who squeezes a toothpaste tube from the end very particularly. His wife would come in and squeeze it in the middle, and he would get frustrated, but he thought, you know what, I can't be upset about this. I love her. And this went on for months and months and months until finally he just blew up. Why can't you squeeze the toothpaste tube right? It took him 16 years of marriage and 2 marriages to realize you could get 2 toothpaste tubes, which is actually the pragmatic solution to the problem, but that's not what we've been taught to look for. What you want to look at is, look, this person is not perfect. They squeeze a toothpaste tube this way. What's the most pragmatic solution I can have here? And what you want to do is you want to ask a question like that, because that question allows a different possibility to show up.
You can't really change someone's personality for those minute types of things like that one, right?
No. And if you can the thing that happens is so we're upset about this, and we're upset about the fact that they leave the toilet seat up, and then we're upset about this and upset about this, and those little things together start creating this wall of judgment that eventually separates us. So what you want to recognize is that if you can actually antidote that with the gratitude that you have for the person, and every day think of or write down at least one thing that you're grateful for about them. Maybe they help with the kids, maybe you're happier when they're around them. What you'll start to do is you actually start to build the gratitude, which will let the judgment cease to be the determining factor in the relationship.
Gratitude and showing appreciation, I think, are a lot of things that can get lost in people's everyday relationships.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the killers, because what happens is, once again, we start out, we'll see the person, it's like, oh my gosh, you're this amazing person, and you have that for the honeymoon period, you know, the beginning, and then after that what you do is you start to judge them for what they're doing or not doing, and you also start to judge you for what you're doing and not doing, and it ends up putting these walls between you. You want to break down those walls every day.
So how do we eliminate judgment and that key issue in a lot of our relationships?
Well, what you want to do is you want to recognize, number one, that it's a killer, that you're actually in the relationship because you actually care about the person. And I would highly suggest starting a gratitude journal about the person you're in relationship with. What am I grateful for about this person? And when you write it down, and when you go back and look at it after 5 years, you see all these things that you're grateful for, and it reminds you of the person that you're with, and it also overcomes that sense that they're doing something wrong, they're being something wrong, they're not perfect enough for you, they're not right for you. They may or may not be perfect, but if they're right for you, you can know it if you actually use that gratitude journal.
Such great information from this guy. If you'd like to go and see him, you've got an event happening in North Vancouver on Friday. The Taste of Being class is happening at the Pinnacle Hotel at the Pier in North Vancouver at 7 o'clock. If you also want to win a copy of Dr. Dain's book right now, you can email us, contests@btvancouver.ca, and you can put Being You into the subject line and get your hands on that copy right there. Thanks so much. Always a pleasure having you here with us. Thanks.